Hey guys, it's Danny. Today, time for a new setup. This one behind me, it's a little brown. We still have some tannins here, but it's fine. By the time that I actually upload this to YouTube, which might be 2 weeks from now, I will have done a few more water changes. I will have removed some of the yellowing leaves and it will look a little better. But now this is the time when I have my full face of makeup on. It's my filming day. We're gonna film the outro and intro of this video today. Okay, so this is reality. Like, this is an intermediary stage for this tank. It's not the prettiest stage, all right? But a few yellow leaves on a cryptocorin, lots of tannins in the water because of the new wood pieces, absolutely normal. Right, so let's just start the video, shall we? Because I blab on about nothing. So today I'm going to show you how to put together this little setup, which is meant for Neocaridina shrimps. I am getting back into shrimps and shrimp breeding, let's say. I'm going to tell you a little story at the end of this video. Stay tuned for that, because I know not everybody wants to hear me blab. But first, I'm going to show you how I put together the tank, and then at the end we'll come back with some more thoughts and the little story about shrimp breeding that happened 20 years ago. Right, so that's it. Let me show you how I put this tank together. Really, really easy for beginners. These shrimps are so easy to care for. So this is a beginner setup.
Alrighty, narrating Danny here. So I set this tank up on the 18th of January. The tank is one of my short cubes that some of you already know. On my channel I have a few of them. As for substrate, I'm using just gravel, no aqua soil. These shrimps actually prefer the pH a little bit higher. And for decoration, I'm using serious stone, which again doesn't lower pH, furthermore it kind of bumps it up, and also a piece of wood, which any shrimp appreciates. Filter is my typical very cheap hang on the back, and of course my Aquael heater. Now as for light, as some of you might know, I'm a bit of a light snob. I can use the cheapest of filters, but when it comes to light, I don't know. I really like the more expensive options because, I don't know, they just improve coloration. And in the end, how my tank looks is very important. So I'm using an ONF lamp, but if you want to replicate something similar, you absolutely do not need this lamp, which costs 100 euros. You can use whatever other option from the pet shop. Just do not use anything very bright, because this is a low intensity tank. Now you see me planting some plants. I'm gonna show you or tell you what plants I used a little later. They are all very easy to grow plants. They don't necessitate extra addition of CO2 or even soils. They can actually do pretty great in gravel. As for moss, which is a must in any shrimp tank, I'm using spiky moss. And what I did was I attached it to a few rocks that I can move around the tank at will. As I was saying, moss is really important for shrimps because that's where the shrimplets hide and usually they find food, like Infusoria. I would not make a shrimp tank without any type of moss, but I think I prefer to be able to move around the moss, especially the spiky moss, which can get pretty tall and out of hand. So at some point I might move it in the back if I so desire. Now, as for nutrients, because yes, plants do require nutrients, I'm using some root taps. These are some from Tetra. They do not have nitrogen or phosphate, but any root tap pretty much is okay. And I'm splitting them in 4 pieces and just placing them at the roots of the plants. I'm also using some floating plants, which again are very appreciated by any shrimp. And they do tend to multiply very fast. And of course, I'm adding some bacteria colonies to speed up the stabilizing of the tank. So here are the plants that I'm using. Usual suspects, cryptocorins, java ferns, the spiky moss you know. Floating plants are usually an easy plant to have no matter the setup because they have full access to CO2 since they float. But most of the plants we have used in the setup should do okay with medium type of light and just some root taps and whatever water you have at the tap. My water is pH 8, so if these plants survive, then that tells you they're very hardy. Did I tell you my favorite Neocaridina are the yellow Neocaridina? I don't know why, but I find yellow shrimps really beautiful. I also love orange shrimps and then the red shrimps and then I guess all the other colors. But for a long time now, I wanted to have a dedicated tank for yellow Neocaridina shrimps. Now, the bad side is that the yellow variety has a bad reputation. You'll find many accounts on the internet suggesting that they are more finicky, they're more more fragile, you have a lot of die-off, and to be honest, I've had both experiences. This particular colony seems to be very strong, and spoilers, they're also breeding, which is another concern about these yellow Neocaridina's. But I did have in the past some Neos, particularly the yellow ones, which indeed have been much more sensitive than the reds and the oranges. So I believe there is some truth to what you see on the internet. I just don't believe it's the case with all lines. I guess it depends on the breeder and on the line itself. This particular line that I have here, I didn't have much mortality. Maybe I lost one, but everybody else seems to be okay. And as I was saying, I also have some buried females, which are so great to see. Now, as for food, I do like to feed my shrimp. I don't let them just eat the algae and biofilm in my tank, and I'm using all of the Danerle Shrimp King line. It is my favorite, and all of my shrimps absolutely love it. They do seem to enjoy the protein ones more, but I'm trying to give them a balanced diet. So they will eat what I give them.
Alrighty, simple, right? Well, Neocaridina shrimps are the easiest shrimps if you're a beginner, if you've never kept shrimps, because they're just not fussy about the quality of the water. Well, I shouldn't say the quality. They're not fussy about the parameters of the water. They can do pretty well in neutral to even slightly acidic waters, all the way up to more alkaline waters. They can do well in a wide range of temperatures. And also when it comes to the hardness of the water, they can absolutely thrive in hard water as well. So they are quite a versatile type of shrimp, the Neocaridinas. There are some downsides to Neocaridinas, but we're gonna get to that. So for these guys, you really don't need to mess around too much with altering the water that you might already have at the sink. The only thing you should absolutely be careful with is the quality of the water. It needs to be safe for shrimps. They cannot tolerate ammonia and nitrite, and not even very high nitrate. So in this regard, keeping the tank clean and doing your water changes and so on, and making sure that you have some plants in there as well to get all of that excess nitrate, that's kind of mandatory. And especially for shrimps, plants, in my opinion, are mandatory. I would not have a shrimp tank with plastic plants. It's just not worth it. It is such a nice setup to get you introduced to aquatic plants as well if you've never had them before. A Neocaridina setup, I believe, is the most friendly to beginners out of everything. I wouldn't go to Caridinas, the cool water and soft water types that are just so beautiful, but so finicky. Yeah, I would not go into that if you're a beginner. I would start with these. Now, one thing you should know about Neocaridina shrimps is that they come in a various array of colors, wonderful, beautiful rainbow colors. But when they breed, you will end up with a lot of either transparent shrimps or brownish type of a shrimp, because all of these colors you see for sale, they are selectively bred and they're obtained in the hobby, in cultivation. I don't know if I should call it like that. We've obtained these colors, and as beautiful as they are, if we're gonna mix all of the colors together and do what people like to call a Skittles type of tank, these shrimps will breed with each other, and you will not necessarily have new colors. You will kind of revert back to the natural or original, let's say, appearance of the shrimp, which can be brown or a little transparent or even dark or almost black or something like that. They can even start to have some stripes, which sometimes are really beautiful, but in the end they will look kind of brownish. If you don't care all that much about maintaining the colors of your shrimps, then you can absolutely get all of the colors that you like. But if you want to maintain a line, which is what I did in this tank, then I suggest per tank you should only have one single color. And even then, sometimes you'll have an off color appearing, but the chances of that happening are much lower. However, though, Neocaridinas breed very easy. And if you want to exchange with another grower breeder, I'm in orchid talk constantly. So if you want to exchange shrimps with plants or other shrimps or fish with another person maybe in your area, then it's a very prolific animal to keep, because they breed really easy, really fast. They produce a lot of babies, and pretty much you'll never run out of shrimps in your tank if you do things right. you will not have to necessarily buy more. They will just reproduce in your tank, and from time to time it is advisable to refresh a little bit the line, a little bit the blood, so get a few more new shrimps from maybe a different source. But generally speaking, at least a year you should be okay with all of the community of little shrimps you'll have in your tank. Right, now let me tell you a little story. When I don't even remember how old I was a teenager. In my area, I was in Romania back then, the cherry shrimp just appeared on the market and it was so expensive. And buying cherry shrimps, you know, the red cherry, these are yellow. These appeared much after, but initially we started with the cherry shrimps, the red shrimps. Now, they were so expensive that we could barely afford them, honestly. I personally could not afford them. I was a broke teenager. And, you know, when I got my first shrimps, I got like 3 or something like that, and they did okay. Strangely enough, somehow I managed to get at least a male and a female, and they started to reproduce, and it was fun, and you know, we traded with them. And I remember one day I saw in a pet shop green shrimps. At the time we called them green red cherry shrimps. Spoilers, they were not green red cherries, but we didn't know. So I saw these shrimps at a pet shop, or somebody saw them and I asked somebody to buy them for me. Maybe they were actually in a different city. I don't remember. I was in a community back then. So I managed to get my hands on these really amazing neon green shrimps. And I thought, well, these are special. I'm gonna dedicate a tank only for them so that the fish don't eat them and, you know, try to breed them. And I think I started with 5 of them or something like that, and I put them in a 30-liter aquarium. Gravel, a few plants, no CO2, no fancy light, nothing. Just a tank with gravel. I don't think I even inserted like root tabs in the substrate. There were just some plants there. When I tell you that those shrimps bred in the hundreds, I'm not even kidding. For whatever reason, I couldn't keep that tank anymore because of space issues. I decided to sell them to get some money to do something else. And I had so many of those shrimps that I sold them for peanuts. And everybody in my community got so upset with me because I spoiled the price, because these shrimps were expensive and I was selling them for like a fraction of the price because I just had so many of them. I kind of just wanted to get rid of them faster so I could move out or move on to other things. I honestly don't remember why I sold them, but I remember people were very, very upset with me. So ever since that experience, I have been searching for the wonderful green neon Neocaridina shrimp. And for the life of me, I haven't found it. It's not the green jade, it's not the emerald, or whatever Neocaridina we have nowadays. I thought it was a lost hybrid. It kind of hit me this week though. It was not a Neocaridina shrimp, it was a caridina. It was Caridina babaulti, I think that's how you pronounce it, which I've always kind of like never even looked for, because I didn't know it was that. I thought it was the green red cherry shrimp. No, it was a caridina, but it's a very easy to keep caridina. And I think I might have found the source. It's in Romania. I might ship it to my parents and I might tell my parents to ship it here. I don't know how I'm gonna get my hands on them because I've never seen them for sale here in Cyprus, but I will give myself some caridina babaulti. And they will, yes honey, they will look spectacular and they will breed because they're just wonderful. The most beautiful green neon shrimp you've ever seen. I never knew it was a caridina. I bred caridina shrimps when I was a teenager apparently. Anyway, but it's different, it's not like the crystals. So that's my little story. I hope that I'm right with my guess because honestly, there's no green neon Neocaridina on the market. Not even the yellow ones. You know that the green Neocaridinas come from the yellow strain? It's not those. I'm not referring to those. Like, just Google green or green neon Caridina babaulti and you will see what I'm talking about. You'll see like the vividness. They looked identical to that. So I'm pretty sure that's what it was. They were all very, let's say, homogeneous. I hope that's the English word for it. They were all very, very equal in color and everything. We didn't have like, you know, some of the offsprings, might get a little transparent, might end up not as red. No, the green ones, they were all very the same. So I'm pretty sure it was not a Neocaridina. Anyway, with that said, that was the video for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. And yeah, by the time that I post this, I'm hoping we won't have as many tannins in the water and I can show you a prettier looking tank. But in case no, this is the intermediary stage and it's fine for a tank to look like this. What's important is the water parameters and patience, because in the end everything will fill in and it will look spectacular. And fingers crossed, the yellow shrimps that I put in here, hopefully they breed. The yellow Neocaridina is one of my favorites. I love yellow, so fingers crossed they breed. But this is a very standard, very easy to make shrimp tank, and I hope you've enjoyed this video and hearing me blab. And with that said, hope you have a great day as well, and I'll see you next time. Bye!